Vance, thank you so much. It's been really fun working with Vance on the impact engine proposal that I'm going to be talking about is in the first part of my chat, talking about the Mindfulness Initiative and how we're hoping to turn that into an impact engine. And then in the second part of what I want to talk about, I want to talk about some edges of where mindfulness may run into some difficulties and where it may need, for lack of a better word, something like containment, and how the mindfulness practice may need to be guided in two relatively different contingencies. But it is such a delight to have everybody here today, even at a busy time of the day. It's a testament with 36 folks already, which dovetails into what really impressed me when I first came to Northeastern in August of 21. I received an incredible welcome from Alexander Kern Levering over in the CSDS, our Center for Spirituality, Dialogue, and Service, our incredible spiritual life center. And I learned then and there that we have a robust number of mindfulness offerings that students are attending. I get over 30 students on my noontime Tuesday meditations. Hopefully you all know that 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, the CSDS has guided meditation focusing in on mindfulness practice. And that led me to start to talk to other folks. The next person in that chain was Laura Dudley, who is now running our mindfulness minor, and the program is continuing to expand. So students can pick up with 5 classes of mindfulness minor. And then I started talking to folks in the CAMD and other folks in Bouvé and other folks in the psychology department. We realized there are many, many faculty and students and staff who are passionate about making use of mindfulness, and we don't know about each other. We're really busy doing great work, and we don't know about the other stuff that's happening. We are posed with the wonderful problem of having so much going on that we're not able to keep track of all of it. So that led me to begin talking to different folks, having great lunchtime conversations and meetings. And we said, why don't we start first off bringing people who are interested in mindfulness practice, mindfulness research, expanding offerings to students in mindfulness practice, and how do we bring us together? And that led to the idea of an impact engine proposal. So I will briefly here, not for much of the time here, share. You should be looking at the captivating eyes of a white husky here, yes? All right, good. So the most of you are probably familiar with the impact engine process, but it's designed to have ideas and see if they've got legs, to see if we can do quick turnaround and bring folks together. And I was lucky enough to begin working with this group of people, Naomi Bose and Laura Dudley and Alexander Kern, Jihong Padma, who directs our Buddhist group and is now a fellow in the CSDS, and Sagar Rajpal, who has done incredible presentations across campus about mindfulness and led mindfulness meditation. So we brought ourselves together and started to talk about, well, what all is going on? And the number of offerings are dizzying. It's huge how much is going on campus. And so the thought was, even if this doesn't go through as an impact engine, even if there's not pieces that quite fit, there's a lot that's already come out of it, simply bringing these voices together. Just today, I learned that Professor, you'll forgive me, Susan, can you unmute and just introduce yourself briefly?
Oh, Susan Whitfield Gabrielli. I'm also interested in your work on mindfulness. And
where are you in the school?
We're in psychology.
And so you're doing some fMRI work as well. This is another piece of it that we really wanted to bring to the table, and now we finally meet. So this is another example of how, after a year of navigating around campus, I'm just meeting another person who needs to be part of these conversations. This is cool and awesome, and why I love doing this. So if I can go to just one of our ridiculous graphics, all the different parties involved in this, the Mindfulness Studies minor I've got folks over at Emmanuel who got grant money to work on introducing mindfulness to their students, for instance. CSDS, spiritual mindful accompaniment, which will dovetail into the second part of my discussion, counseling services, wanting to say, look, we've got students who just need somebody to talk to, and does not need to be therapy. Somebody who can coach them in a bit about where they could make use of mindfulness. Advance had this last year, they had a mindfulness affinity group for new incoming faculty. We have students wanting to do co-ops related to this, but we don't know where all the resources are. We have each semester a luncheon where we get together with folks who are passionate about these kind of topics and to just sit at tables together under conscious connections. And there's more. All of this should bring home the message that this is, as I say in the Impact Engine proposal, this is part of our DNA. This is actually what we are really trying to do here. And how do we do it at that level of excellence and interconnectedness that marks Northeastern in so many of our undertakings? So the first part I wanted to just bring in, if you are interested in this, if you want to be involved in the conversations about it, if you want to talk to other researchers and practitioners, please fire me an email. I would be delighted to first have lunch with you and then introduce you to the rest of the group. And that alone would be the best outcome we could imagine. How do we bring these voices together? So Susan, I look forward to us having lunch soon.
Likewise.
The second part, and I'll turn off the share screen, of what I'd like to share ties in with two somewhat different groups of people who we may run into with our mindfulness practices. We may be starting our classes with a mindful minute where we ask them to simply attend to their sensations. We might have been taught that peeling and eating a slice of orange is a great mindfulness exercise. We might have been told that breath work is accessible and we're trying to integrate that into class. There's a lot of ways we can enter into mindfulness. And we've been told in general that there's no downside, right? What could possibly go wrong with mindfulness practice? It's just slowing down and breathing. It's not absolutely without possible risks. And the first possible risk is if the individual is struggling with some mental health concerns, especially in things like body inventory, a very popular way to bring somebody into mindfulness practice. You start at your toes or the top of your head or someplace like that. When I do my guided meditations in the CSDS, we actually follow the breath down the throat into the belly and feel how all the parts of us are involved in breathing. Body inventory is a time-tested approach to relaxation and can be a gateway into mindfulness, that is more full presence and awareness in the moment. If somebody is holding on to something or holding themselves together, maybe not with complete grace and style, asking them to relax can be an invitation for them to not do so well. So I would suggest that we need to think about, with mindfulness practice, that we always present it as an invitation and not a demand. And that we also consider that students are told you can always opt out at any point. You need to take excellent care of yourself. And if that means you stepping out of the room, that is absolutely perfect. That's excellent self-care. So on the one side, we have this idea of we need to always make this optional, not demand. We need to think about, as in the CSDS we do, how we phrase what we're talking about. There are types of meditation that you can get into deeper levels. Some of you may have practiced or heard of metta meditation, sometimes known as loving kindness meditation. It emerges out of particular strands of Buddhist practice. And the idea is circles of expanding loving kindness. As we center down and get in touch with our breath, we then visualize maybe it's a glowing blue light around ourselves and around those around us. But often metta meditation will also say, now can we extend that loving kindness towards someone with whom we have a struggle? Well, we've just invited the person to bring maybe not such great parts of their life into their meditative practice. So in the CSDS, we put a lot of time and attention into thinking about how are we going to guide them through the meditation. The people who are our mindfulness fellows, or mellows, as we call them, the mellows are mentored for a semester before they start leading, at least a semester. And we talk them through, we try them out, we have nice conversations. It's a real joy for me to mentor the future and current mellows. And so we think about what might we be bringing in that we have no intention of bringing in that might, at the risk of using a now a cliched term, trigger. So that's my first bit, and I'm happy in our later discussion to talk about ways that can manifest in different parts of practice. The other group is people then who get pretty intensely into mindfulness practice and maybe doing other types of meditative practices, and they're doing a lot of self-examination. And rather than having any concerns about maybe a breakdown in terms of classic mental health issues, what they need is containment for their process, someone with whom they can reflect on it. If we start meditating multiple times a week, it is going to bring us into different ways of being. Is there someone with whom we can compare notes? Is there someone who we can talk to about it? Part of what I have the privilege of being able to do here is be we are calling it spiritual and mindful accompaniment. And so faculty, staff, and students can come for a non-therapeutic, non-clinical practice with me. And I have the joy of 5 people with whom I have ongoing conversations. Once a month, twice a month, it depends. And a couple of those folks are coming to me talking about their meditative practice and what comes up for them and what it's like. And we talk about books that we could read and how that ties in with our life back at home. And if there are pieces of our religious tradition that do or don't tie into it, what's that like and how might we pursue that? As we become more focused in our long-term mindfulness meditative practices, it can really help to have an individual companion, not necessarily a psychotherapist, not a counselor, and maybe it's not a pastoral counselor, but just somebody to reflect and talk from their experience a little bit, but mostly reflect back what they're hearing from you. And that containment can be such a gift. And I can speak from the side of being on the other side of it. It is deeply pleasurable to be engaged in those kind of conversations with folks. So that was mainly what I wanted to come and discuss today, was that we have a mindfulness initiative, which may become an impact engine, but regardless of whether or not it does manifest into a full-blown impact engine, is definitely a gathering place if you have interest and passions around mindfulness. And that also we need to be thinking about our students who are wrestling with especially trauma, but anxiety and maybe obsessive compulsive features. And then also our friends, students, colleagues, staff who are engaged in longer term intense mindfulness and meditative practices who might benefit from mentoring, containment, and accompaniment. I think the way we wanted to do this, Vance, was that then Professor Li will take over next, and then we'll have time for questions and responses and objections afterwards. Yeah?
I think so, yeah. Thanks, Aaron. And if you could, if you wouldn't mind dropping your email into the chat, just so that we can have an easy way to contact you. I'll give a little introduction for Dr. Li here. And then we will continue. Dr. Li's research focuses on advancing the understanding of culturally and linguistically diverse students and how to promote their academic and psychological well-being and resilience in a culturally responsive manner. Currently, she is investigating with her colleagues and graduate students on the risk and resilience factors pertaining to English language learners and immigrant youth. She and her team are also exploring culturally responsive interventions, including training self-regulated learning skills and using bilingual guided meditation to nurture students' mental and academic well-being in the classroom. And Dr. Li, I'm going to let you take it away. You should be able to share. Let me know if we have problems.
Thank you so much. I'm going to share my screen. So can you see my screen?
We cannot, no.
Oh, sorry. I think my wonderful student is helping me to make sure you can share. But while I can talk, so how many minutes do I have? I want to stay within my minutes. Do I have 20 minutes or less?
Oh, sorry, you have 20, 25, somewhere around there, yeah.
Okay, yeah, can you see my screen now?
Nope, still not.
No, so I continue talking then. So are you more interested in our practice part of what we do, or more interested in our research and research finding the next step? Which part you are more interested in?
I think whichever you'd like to share with us. Okay, so we can now see your screen, by the way.
Oh, good. You can see my screen. Thank you so much.
You can just
So,
hit here.
yeah. So I think today I'm very grateful to have this opportunity to be connected to people who are also interested in this topic and collaborating. I'm really grateful to your introduction, Aaron. And I wanted to share a little bit about currently what we are doing. So basically, we talk about one part of mindfulness, which we are focusing on how that we can apply that in mental health, especially in preventive way of promoting mental health of all people, all students in the classrooms. So our topic is guided meditation as an intervention. We focus on culture, linguistic, and developmental considerations for diverse populations. Actually, we also have one more part is individual, cultural, linguistic, developmental, and individual consideration, if we want that work. So our goal, basically, we wanted to address this national and international needs we identify. Currently, I personally use in lay terms that our schools from elementary to graduate school do both good and bad to our students. The good is to help our students with knowledge. The bad is that we separate the well-being of the whole person, the physical, the mental, and the spiritual, the well-being all together, integrated well-being, very often neglected, only focusing on academic piece. Because of that, our schools currently, not only in the United States, in other schools, other systems, other countries too, really have this kind of a two side. On the one side, trying to do good to help our students get ready for life, for profession, but on the other hand, doing harm to add stress, anxiety, and while students learning specific knowledge, but also neglect the whole well-being and the natural skills and healing power they have if they could kind of slow down, have some time to contemplate, to be in touch with themselves. So we recognize this international need. I'm very grateful to my visiting scholars from different countries and also students from different countries when we chatted, collaborators. The other thing we recognize is that even some places trying to do that, including my research team trying to do that, collaborators in the United States and in some schools in China, we realize that something work in one classroom with one teacher may not with another group of people or teachers and multiple factors. But one of the important factors, of course, the persons who are leading the meditation and the mindfulness-based intervention, where they are, how they're in touch with themselves, how they carry themselves as the being and their energy field to the students impact. But the other important part is really the students themselves, students' age, something work for our college students. Nobody complained about our guided meditation or bilingual guided meditation at Northeastern in the classroom with Dr. Tai, who is also a professor here teaching in the world language department. That's fabulous. We were so great. We have wonderful results data. But the same thing we tried in different places. For instance, in high school, students by the end, they like that. They like the fact that teachers pay attention to them having this piece incorporated. But on the other hand, they feel, no, you let us do everything the same day, no choice, the same music, same guide, same directions. I would rather have something different. This is some of the students' feedback. So from that, also from our practice in elementary school during the pandemic, we realized during the pandemic and some of the conditions we used to do, which is taken for granted, now is problematic. For instance, for young kids, some meditation activities are developed for this young age, let them to have fun, to pretend they're trying to blow, or they're trying to breathe to their hand, or deep breathing. Kids said it's too hard to do deep breathing with mask on. At that time, we had a mask on. Or some people say, I can't close my eyes. It's so scary to close my eyes, because some people have some traumatic or scary experience with them, so that wouldn't work for them. So from the feedback, from the interaction with people, we learned that doing even this wonderful guided meditation, the simple one, popular one, we need to consider culture and developmental factors and individual. Also, we realized in linguistic part, because some international students are here on campus at Northeastern. They passed GRE in graduate school and had a high score in SAT, got into Northeastern, but certain idiomatic terms, certain way of expression when guiding the meditation sounds so simple and easy, and they feel they have to make effort to understand what it means. They eventually understand it after several rounds of trying, but it's the first couple of times really distracting them from gaining the inner peace. They slowing down the focus. This is their cognitive part still active, trying to understand the language, translate the language in their mind. So busy, really hard to get into this meditation state. So from that, we also learned the importance of attending to the linguistic part. So then our current research team focusing on the general part, the part one of integrating, finding practical ways to integrate that into the classroom to promote both academic and psychological well-being, which we achieved in some places, but not in others yet. And we are trying to understand the factors to improve, which is still ongoing. We're also looking at mediators from research perspective, what contribute to the effect. So far, it's in the process, by some journals to review some mediators we found. One idea we found, with one group for reducing test anxiety through meditation. We found that, wow, the students all said it's wonderful. And their outcome also, the data was beautiful, saying that they improved self-efficacy through that, and there's a clear role contributing, and also their implementation contributed. The other part is that through the practice we found in some schools we don't see that reach the statistic level of significance in terms of academic difference. The control group and the experimental group have the same data, but other places we see the experimental group have higher academic performance by the end after a semester practice, and also higher sense of well-being and lower stress and anxiety. So we are still exploring, and we are also trying to see how we adapt some popular mindfulness-based interventions, such as, and skills or tools, such as the 3-minute briefing from the mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, such as the popular body scan, and also other popular meditation skills, in what way, the direction, and the way the practice, the lens appropriate for what population. Our goal is to develop something culturally sensitive and applicable, be able to integrate it to the regular classrooms if people choose to use that, and provide data and research-based evidence. At least it doesn't do harm, at least it doesn't reduce the time of learning or learning outcome, as some school leaders or principal may worry, doing your thing may take away some instruction time. If we do the math, one class 5 minutes, the whole semester, how many minutes? But at least so far, all the data from all classes experimented showing at least they have similar outcome, if not significantly higher. So our theoretical kind of hypothesis seem to gain some support. That is, this practice really impact the person's well-being and concentration, confidence, so that they also in a very relaxed environment are doing well. So I want to move on to the next. So this is where we are. So we're starting from the small way with these two. Please let me know if I'm running out of time. I talked about our current project a little bit. This slide's already covered. Oh, by the way, I'm inspired and energized by some of Northeastern undergraduates. They're interested in contributing to this. What really motivated them is the focus on making it culturally sensitive, so that they feel would make an impact to allow people from diverse linguistic and cultural background, at least on campus, in future would be able to have something accessible to them. They would understand. So they contribute, they participated in the process of studying these popular mindfulness skills. So let me see, I want to move them on. So don't worry about slides. If the slides doesn't move, I probably can.
Sorry, I think it froze.
Oh, it froze. Sorry. So maybe I just continue talking. How many minutes I have? See if I can show an example.
Yeah, I mean, you've probably got about 10 minutes or so.
Okay, so maybe I show two examples. One example is of 3 minutes of bilingual guided meditation. The other is our sample of culture review, what model we use, and that model. Can you still see my screen?
We see the loading. Oh, it's up. It's good.
So we move on.
So we were here.
Yeah, I want to move to the next slide. Next, today's agenda, we can mindfulness and the mindfulness-based meditation. Probably I don't have to repeat, everybody here knows. And the benefit, probably the literature you're aware, I want to skip. I want to focus on the practice part. So can we get this play? So I want to share one thing on our website.
I'll just
That's
share whatever.
Yeah, that's starting the 3-minute meditation. So you get a sense what's in we tried in the classroom. This is more in the foreign language classroom. The theory behind that is you connect the foreign language people have anxiety or learning with something very relaxing and positive. They would feel more relaxed and ready to learn. Now, this is in Dr. Tsai's classroom example when we did a study.
轻轻地闭上你的眼睛，
Gently close your eyes.
在接下来的3分钟里，享受美好的音乐。
And enjoy the flow of the music for 3 minutes.
这段音乐会帮助你放松你的身体和头脑。
The music will relax your body and mind.
现在你的身体已经完全放松，你的头脑变得非常清晰。
Your body is relaxed and your mind is alert.
我们马上就要开始我们的英语学习了。
We are going to start our English learning.
英语学习很有意思，也很容易。
English learning will be interesting and easy.
在这堂课里，你会自然地开启你的潜能。
In this class, you will naturally begin tapping into all of your reserve potentials.
今天我们会有愉快的学习时光。
We will have a joyful learning time together today.
现在，轻轻地睁开你的眼睛。
Now gently open your eyes.
So the theory, can you still hear me?
Yes.
So the theory behind this, I mentioned a little bit. Now, actually, we also have a positive suggestion part that has a theoretical support from the psychology, from the theories of psychology. And the relaxing music also evidence-based. Relaxing music itself has good soothing and relaxing effect. Some studies already supported guided meditation used instead of just inside meditation or other kind is based on our understanding and research. People at our time, a society fast-paced, and also children, students, it's hard without something guide them, unless they really have reached a very high level or habit of doing meditation. They can do without their thoughts running or drifting away. So guided meditation help them. Also the feedback from our students also telling guided meditation help them. So the three components in simple words is based on our research to incorporate and develop that. And then our own research currently supporting that and feedback from students. But in the high school, some students relate when asking them students to comment on the three components. Some love the music more, some like the positive suggestion day in, day out more, and some like the relaxation more. So one recent study, not published yet, and just in the process getting journal review, is that the combination of them, also students find the positive suggestion they hear a lot, really not one day. Eventually after a semester, they when compare this group with the group who just have music, not having the other component, and the self-efficacy score is really different. So that positive suggestion really help their self-efficacy. One unplanned effect we learned is that having that component improve the relationship between the teachers and the students. So both Dr. Chieh from Northeastern was undergraduate, and now Dr. Kimball. At that time, he was doctoral student doing his dissertation, working with me in poorer school system. Notice that students after doing that for a while, develop a more kind of a kinder and more positive feelings affectionately with each other and with the faculty. And so for Dr. Chieh, that the students, almost every student after the end of the foreign language class, by the end of the semester, gave her a hug before leaving the semester. And she is the same person teaching the classes, the other class, like different sections of the same foreign language class. The other sections do nice and said goodbye, but nobody was in that mode to that extent and would give her a hug before leave. That was before the pandemic, of course. So we are finding more and more of that, trying to learn from the feedback. I know I need to monitor my time. So how I move to the next one?
Hit this key.
Hit this key. So maybe I move on to the next one. And people would be interested, say, you talk about a culture, culture review and culture tailoring. How you do that? Based on what theory or practice? Based on my dig of theory, this relatively kind of a almost 30 years old one still works. And recently, I think 2020, someone from Germany contacted me, and my collaborator, when not for mindfulness, for other research, wanted to know about to what extent the mental health research or intervention studies take into consideration and do systematic review of cultural appropriateness. He still used a more kind of developed of this model. So I would consider the one I'm using now is the classical model. That is the one developed years ago by someone from Puerto Rico, originally focused on making cultural adaptation for Puerto Rican for the mental health interventions. So from an ecological framework, called that ecological culture validity framework, basically including different aspects from the ecological framework of a person or culture, like the language, like what image you have in therapy. At that time, he wasn't focusing on what we are doing. He was focusing on conventional therapy developed. Metaphor used, the content, whether it's understandable, speaking to the people, the population, the concepts, whether that's understandable, that's foreign, or that's offensive, any concept, and the goals, whether the goals of the meditation matches the culture, values, and the goals of the individual, and also the methods, whether the methods really matches the culture and individual. Then the context, whether the intervention developed in that context or for people in certain contexts also applies for the people you're trying to use for your current patients or clients context, culture and social context. So looking at these factors, and we developed our questions. So from that, we review one of the popular meditation one. So, but before doing that, also it's important, culture is not static. Culture is dynamic, and also culture has horizontally, you look at that. For instance, the Asian culture, Asian American, there are many ethnic groups among Asian Americans, many different languages people have if they are immigrants or they are international students. So that's horizontally, you look at the difference. And vertically, you also see difference, first about Asian American, because I'm an Asian American, so I use that as the example. You would see people have different culture identity combination of development. So whether they are a certain area, they identify more with American culture, or other aspect more with their Asian culture, not specific ethnic group of Asian, or whether they have both. So the simple scale I use from this author I put in the reference at the bottom really help us to help our college students who help with the culture review, and also high school students who are helping with the culture review, to feel that, so that they themselves later on, it's educational for them to learn, and for us to learn from what lens, for what acculturation level, and this particular set of mindfulness-based intervention is appropriate. What component of this meditation for what population that people have difficulty, and we should modify. So then here is the scales we have. So, you know, we saw the model earlier together, and now we translated that into different categories. We enter the people who do the culture review, enter these their responses next to each category. The language category, the persons, and then the metaphor, content, concepts, goals, and so on and so forth. So they use that. Let me see if I also have results in the, the results I probably can summarize earlier. The results, basically, we see some interesting results when do culture review of the 3-minute meditation. Let me find the 3-minute meditation itself. So you listen to that. It's only 3 minutes. The one with music is what Dr. Chieh and I developed. She teaches the language, and I'm from psychology perspective. This one is by the authors of the mindfulness-based cognitive therapy. This is only 3 minutes, but this is the core of the mindfulness-based cognitive therapy based on research. I have lots of support, and this is more practical for people to use, because the longer one, people tend to have no time to use. So let me play that for you to have an idea.
Let's talk about the importance of taking care of your mental health. The key to great therapy is finding therapists who truly connect with it. I've been fortunate enough to find
this is the
someone
one
who cares for me and wants me to be my best self. BetterHelp can help you
I'm
find
going
your
to do a brief
potential.
exercise.
Therapy can be intimidating, and not knowing where to start stops a lot of us from getting the help that we deserve.
Sorry.
BetterHelp is the
Called the
world's
3-minute
largest
brief
online
exercise.
therapy.
Sorry,
The first thing we do with this practice, because it's brief and we want to come into the moment quickly, is to take a very definite posture, relaxed, dignified, back erect, but not stiff, letting our bodies express a sense of being present and awake. Now, closing your eyes, if that feels comfortable for you.
So let's try to
The
do
first
with
is being aware.
Dr.
Really aware of
Rampes,
what's
and
going on
then
with you right
I'll
now.
share with you the students'
Becoming
feedback,
aware
and
of
then
what's
you
going
can
through
share
your
yours.
What thoughts are around. Here again, as best as you can, just noting the thoughts as mental events. So we note them, and then we note the feelings that are around at the moment. In particular, turning toward any sense of discomfort or unpleasant feelings. So rather than try to push them away or shut them out, just acknowledge them, perhaps saying, "Ah, here you are. That's how it is right now." And similarly with sensations in the body, are there sensations of tension, of holding, or whatever? And again, awareness of them, simply noting them. Okay, that's how it is right now. So we've got a sense of what's going on right now. We've stepped out of automatic pilot. The second step is to collect our awareness by focusing on a single object, the movements of the breath. So now we really gather ourselves, focusing attention in the movements of the abdomen, the rise and fall of the breath. Focus on the movements of the abdominal wall, moment by moment, breath by breath, as best as you can, so that you know when the breath is moving in and you know when the breath is moving out. Just binding your awareness to the pattern of movement down there, gathering yourself, using the anchor of the breath to really be present. And now as a third step, having gathered ourselves to some extent, we allow our awareness to expand. As well as being aware of the breath, we also include a sense of the body as a whole, so that we get this more spacious awareness, a sense of the body as a whole, including any tightness or sensations related to holding in the shoulders, neck, back, or face, following the breath as if your whole body is breathing, holding it all in this slightly softer, more spacious awareness. And then when you're ready, just allowing your eyes to open.
Yeah, so you listened to this 3 minutes one. Later I want to hear your thoughts. But what we hear from students really different. I hear similar things from very acculturated Asian Indian and Asian Chinese American college students. And one so far, I haven't really heard other high school students respond. They felt fine. They could understand everything. They just said the person has a little bit of a British accent, but that's okay. They understand the concept, the goal, and everything. They seem to be understandable. Some people feel that's helpful. It's something they learned they could do during the day. Other people say, yeah, it's good to know. I meant to help you to do the review. One college boy, not college, high school boy says, well, that's good, but I don't know if I can sit down and meditate. But I did that for you. I did the review and listened. So people have different kinds of responses. So far, we have more females from different levels, high school level, college level, graduate level, seem to be more involved, like to volunteer and do than males. We do have males interested in that too. But we do have international students pointed out different aspect of that I never thought of before, and my Asian American college students didn't recognize. For instance, the pace, the language, the accent, and some choice of words we take for granted, but they needed to take time to process. So these people, though, are going through college, but they still notice that. They felt if in their native language, or if in a language kind of they're more familiar, probably they could focus better on the meditation part. But people say after a week, probably you'll get used to that. You can do that. With some introduction, it's important for people to understand the basic concept. So I stopped here. I wanted to check how many more minutes we have. I don't want to take up all the time so that we have enough time for discussion.
Well, let me just say thank you, first of all, for an interesting presentation. I really appreciate that. And for a little bit of guided meditation that I was not expecting today. So that was a pleasant surprise. We are basically running up on the end of time, although we did start a couple minutes late. So if there are people who can stay around for a few minutes, that's fine. But if you have to go, that's great. I do want to take an opportunity to thank both of our speakers right now, Dr. Daniels and Dr. Li. I really appreciate you coming and speaking with us today. If anyone has any questions or comments they'd like to make here at the end, quick, I encourage you to type in the chat, raise your hand, unmute, somehow communicate with us in whatever way you're most comfortable with.
I can certainly stay for a little while, so I'm happy to hang out, but I obviously know that people have a lot going on. Professor Li, that was wonderful. Thank you. And we didn't plan out how to coordinate our talks, but they dovetailed beautifully, and that's really interesting work and smart stuff that you're doing. I'm so delighted to hear more about it now.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, your opening part, the overall picture of our Northeastern connection, and so many people doing that great. I would love to have your slides, and that's so helpful, and probably can spread among colleagues. Say we do have a group here. Yeah.
I just want to make a note, if you have questions but have to go right this second, the emails for both of our speakers are now in the chat, and you are encouraged to reach out to them about further questions about mindfulness, about research, all that stuff.
Yeah, thank you. I forgot to say one thing might be helpful. Recently, I feel encouraged that we got in July, we applied a couple of times. First time we didn't get it. And then this year we got it from NIH grant to support the work, the idea of culturally tailored intervention that include both mindfulness-based intervention and critical consciousness. To help people who are marginalized, struggling with depression, anxiety, and stress. Some is more for our current situation, society, people struggling in, so that we are exploring from that angle.
Well, congratulations on the grant. And I think that's really great that, we now have concrete evidence that that you have, federal support to study things like this is fantastic. Yeah, that's really awesome.
Thank you. But this is one part. If only this, I don't know, maybe people would get that earlier or at a different time. This is more part of the technical in combination theoretically between the mindfulness-based intervention and the critical consciousness together to help marginalized people who are struggling with the outside kind of environmental factors, like some people being bullied, some people have experienced discrimination or other kind of environmental factors they need to cope, and also they have emotional part. So for that current practice, we don't have one. So this is something we wanted to explore, to develop something really work and help still in the process of developing the product. Yeah.
Part of what Jihong Padma, to speak to what Professor Li was just saying there, and that is really cool. Part of what we're hoping the Mindfulness Initiative can also bridge into is working with diversity and equity and inclusion on campus, and that mindfulness can become embedded in a lot of the groups, and mindfulness practice can become a way to hold some of our more difficult meetings, because Lord knows we need to have tough conversations, and can mindfulness become kind of the hallmark of how we start those conversations as a tool. So part of the impact engine proposal is trying to link diversity, equity, and inclusiveness conversations and mindfulness practice as well. It's an ambitious piece because we're still trying to establish mindfulness practice, and yet it's so broadly spread on campus. I think it's already closer than we realize.
So that's really interesting. I mean, thinking of it as, I've heard of mindfulness first off as like a therapeutic tool, right? And that's how you often, I think, come at it or hear it originally, but thinking of it as a tool to put you in the right mind space when you're coming to the table to talk about things. I had never thought about that. That's fascinating.
Yeah, I really think this is a wonderful point, because whether we do scientific research or review, or do therapy or practice or do debate, but when we enter deep meditation and then coming off deep meditation in a mindfulness orientation state, we probably are more level-headed. And more kind of be able to process things, less easy to jump into judgment conclusion. Yeah.
So may I just ask one question for both professors? I'm the assistant dean for research for nursing. And as you can imagine, we have students the undergraduates are 18 years of age, and they're being not thrown in, but they're being exposed to patients who are critically ill, from children to adults to older adults. And I'm just thinking that maybe these type of techniques, because we don't teach this in the School of Nursing, but I'm thinking about an 18-year-old seeing a child die and trying to process that with an 18-year-old student, a nursing student, that this may be one technique to help them to understand, our role as nurses, to assist the family, but to also to assist themselves. Because I don't think we do a good job as clinical nurses to really process with our students what they're experiencing at 18, 19, and 20. I mean, I've been a nurse for 31 years, so I got it. But for these wonderful young women and men, it's hard. And we don't teach this. So I'm just thinking, I wonder if this would be helpful for our undergraduate students who are brand new and they're being faced with life and death situations, whether in clinical.
Yeah, I think yours is a wonderful question, an application question. I did have a nurse practitioner joined last semester. My research team kind of worked a little bit, which I did some situation really tough. But I feel one thing is that mindfulness, there are different levels. And there's levels for relaxation, there are deeper level too. So, but probably the conversation would be long. But what I think helpful is for the situation you talked about, and also for some people I helped of older age, dealing with grieving, death,
Yes.
crisis. So it's really the combination of mindfulness and support, social support, and the spirituality. And the spirituality, I realized different religion, from especially their profound part, it really have lots of healing effect. So I'm familiar with 2 to 3 religions, but not everyone. Say, let's talk about one thing I'm very familiar is I'm from the East, so the Buddhist approach. This understanding of life as a process, this understanding of also the physical being probably has its limitation. You leave this world sooner or later, and how you live it. And also people would, physical being die, and the soul wouldn't die. This is a cross-culture, cross-religion,
Yes, I agree.
soul, say rest in peace.
Right.
So in Christians say you go to heaven and God
Right.
loves you, would embrace you. And in Buddhists say you go to the Pure Land, which probably is not just heaven, but for them, that heaven is one level. There are other levels that
Right.
your soul could ascend to. So
Yes.
with that kind of understanding, and people do not necessarily take this as this end of everything. So the Tibetan years ago, when I learned from them and talk about they have even more so striking different way. Yeah.
Thank you.
Professor Dov Conover, who has done some teaching at Curry, but is a nursing professor, has been doing work with integrating mindfulness practice into nurse training.
Okay.
And Dov's an amazing person, but if you look in the Curry directory or Dov Conover, you can look into some of what she's done around these issues. She's very much framing nursing as a wellness medicine in her approach, but that's a whole nother discussion.
Thank you very much.
I think one of the things that we think about, and I so appreciate Professor Li bringing this up, is that mindfulness meditation may well move the person into reconsidering how they take up their faith tradition, if there is one. And I think within Christianity, where I'm operating, far too many people have been told that we don't have a meditative tradition within Christianity, which is not true.
I agree.
But it has certainly not been emphasized. And so the contemplative tradition within Christianity, whether that's St. John of the Cross, Teresa of Avila, the Desert Fathers and Mothers, Thomas Merton, we have a host of writers who are approaching a contemplative tradition within Christianity, but a lot of that is not being discussed. And I think one of the joys of being a spiritual accompanist, a mindful and spiritual accompanist, is to ask the person, so talk to me about your tradition. When I talk with my Jewish students who I'm working with, where does this fall within your Judaism that you've emerged within? Is there some piece that's curious for you that's emerging? And we get into such rich, cool, interesting territory. And that mindfulness brings with it, in general, a more open curiosity to possibilities, that we can enter this territory and we can explore and play in a way that we might not be able to before. We are gifted that the director of our Spiritual Life Center, Alex, is a dyed-in-the-wool Quaker, old school, unprogrammed, sitting in sacred silence. And a lot of folks miss that. He'll tell you at the drop of a hat that he's a Quaker, but he's actually trying to think about, what does this mean in leadership? What does this mean in running meetings? And I grew up with the idea of a Quaker minute, sitting in silence to try to calm things down a little bit. But the Quaker tradition has this idea of making use of silence as a means of us building consensus and thinking together in a different way. So it's a global approach, but the language differs greatly. And we have many, many wonderful conversations to have where we get to compare the different languages and see what's different. Because I don't think, and I hope that we're not talking about one tradition ultimately. We're talking about so many ways to access this material.
Indeed, I can't agree with you more. In our recent last 3 years review of relevant literature, my student who is Dr. so and so now, but at the time she was from Muslim background, so I'm more influenced from Eastern philosophy. And when we look at literature and different religion, we see more commonality in terms of meditation in nature, but have different names, have different ways, different means. And some people do prayer. For instance, one of my friends who's Catholic, and she does prayer every early morning. She's very pious, So, and that's meditation effect for her. So people, different religion, different people have different names and practice, but have similar kind of a nature using meditation sometimes.
And sometimes it's going to take weeks, months, years of practice before that starts to open up. And we don't typically get to do research of, well, let's try 3 years of daily meditative practice. And where are you now? I mean, they're often a 1 month, a 3 month, a 1 year, maybe if you can get that. But what we see anecdotally and in qualitative work is we see descriptions about, I hit this wall at 18 months of practice and I felt like it was dead and I was dead and nothing was working, but I kept at it. And then suddenly somewhere's around 26 months into the practice, suddenly everything changed. My body changed, my sense of self changed. This is a lifetime practice for many people. And so it's that kind of longitudinal work, which we're only starting to get into, but it's so interesting.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to hearing more about it in the future as we continue on with it. I am going to wrap us up now just because we're getting close to 3:15 and I know Melinda and I both need to bounce. So I want to say thank you one last time to both Dr. Daniels and Dr. Li. Thank you for our remaining audience for sticking with us till the end. We greatly appreciate all of you. And I hope everyone found a little bit more peace and calm today during our talks. If you have any more questions or any more discussion you would like to have, reach out to Melinda, to me, to our wonderful presenters, and we will, I think, go from there.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you, everyone.